What is up, guys? It is Bucky, and welcome to your 22nd tutorial, maybe. In this tutorial, we're going to be going over a conditional operator, which is pretty much a shorthand version of the if-else statement. And this is probably the last thing we're going to be doing with if-else or anything like that for a couple tutorials. And anyways, we're also going to be going over Boolean variables, what they are, and what they mean. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. I'm not even going to give you a background of anything first. I'm just going to go ahead and build the program because this is going to be the easiest way to teach it. So let's go ahead and set a variable a equal to 2, set a variable b equal to 3, and set a variable c equal to 0. And these are just going to be some demonstration variables. So the first thing is the condition operator. And what this does is, like I said, it's a shorthand term for if else. And what you do is you give it a condition, which is a test, and then you give it an expression 1 and expression 2. Expression 1 is going to happen if the test is true. Expression 2 is going to happen if the test is false. So let's go ahead and make a simple test. A equal to B. Now, after this test, what you do is you put a question mark. And this kind of makes sense. One of the only things that makes sense in a computer program. So it's like you're asking it, is it true or is it not true with the question marks? And after the question mark, you give it two sets of expressions. The first, and by the way, these expressions are going to be separated by a colon. The first expression, which is just a statement, any bit of code you want, is what you want to happen if this is true. So if A is equal to B, then just go ahead and output they are equal. Now, for your else, what you do is you put a colon, and after the colon, it's another expression. Now, after the colon, you want to write an expression, what's going to happen if the statement is not true, or in this case, they aren't equal to each other. So ns log, let's go ahead and write different. So here's the syntax for this. You give it a condition, and then you give it an expression, what do you want to happen if it's true, separated by colon, what do you want to happen by it's false, if it's false. And again, well, let's go ahead and just run this and see what happens. So save, and it says different right here because A is not equal to B. Now let's go ahead and change those to 2 and 2 and see what we get. Build and run, save it. They are equal. Bam, right there. So again, one last time, you give it a condition, which is pretty much a test, put a question mark after it to know to separate the condition for the expressions, give it the true expression separated by colon, and the false expression. So that way it can test whether this is true or false and have code to output either way. So that's kind of the shorthand of a condition operator. So now let's get into Boolean variables. Now, aside from conditions testing whether they're true or false, you can also test if variables themselves are true or false. So let's give you an example. Well, let's go ahead and just copy this entire thing just because we already have the syntax all there. And instead of A equals B, let's just go ahead and test one variable, C. And you're like, what's a test for this? C, true or false? How the heck can you test one variable if it's true or false? Well, let's go ahead and first write true for the true statement and false for the false statement. Now, instead of integers, characters, there's also another data type, and this is called Boolean or Boolean. Now, anytime you have a variable and it's equal to 0, your computer is going to see it as false. Anytime you have a variable which is not 0, and the most common thing people set it equal to is 1, but you can set it equal to 99 or anything that's not 0, your computer is going to see this as true. So the idea that a variable itself can either be true, which is not 0, or false, which is 0, is the type of a boolean or boolean, however you say it. So let's go ahead and run this. So right now, well, we can delete this. we're saying C, which in essence means is C equal to 0? If it is, it's going to be false. So this should output false. If it's not, it's going to be true. So let's go ahead and build and run this. And as you can see, it says false right there. Now let's go ahead, and if we wanted to make this variable true, we would go ahead and set it equal to 1. So now if we go ahead and ran this again, it would output true. So that is the basics of a Boolean variable, and like I said, you can also set it to 99 or anything and still build it, save it, and it'll output is true. So why am I telling you this random variable stuff without even giving you a real need for it? Well, later on we're going to be using Boolean variables, and I want you guys to know whenever we use them, and I'm going to be like if C, then you guys actually know what's going on. And by the way, since you can use it there, you can also use it in an if statement like if C and then output a bit of code right here. So whenever I do stuff like that, now you guys will have an understanding of what it means. And when you see it run in a program and see the usefulness of it, then it might click in your head. But anyways, just want to tell you guys that there is something called a Boolean variable. If your variable is set to 0, it's going to be false. Anything else than 0 is going to be true. And that's that for this tutorial. So thank you guys for watching. I got nothing else to say, so make sure to subscribe and I'll see you next tutorial.